Hello, my friends. Welcome to Together Run 7. I am excited you will be joining me today. I'm loving hearing the feedback from you about what you think of these runs. Those of you who tried the workout, that was really cool. Be sure to keep letting me know if you think the workout should be something I do once a month, or if you prefer we just keep it as a regular, just a run like today is going to be a run together that we can just enjoy. So without any further ado, I'm just going to pass it back over to myself and we'll begin the run. Good morning. Well, I shouldn't say good morning, should I? I'm running in the morning. Who knows when you're running? Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do another together run. And we're going to get straight into it. I've given you a bit more information in the pre-intro. And today we're going to just do a 30 or 45 minute run together. And we're going to start with reflection, checking in with our bodies, our minds, look at our scenery, what's around us, our senses. And then I have a question that I'm answering from one of you. So ready to begin in 3, 2, 1 and start. Really loving the ability to not only be able to do these, but to hear your feedback on which parts have been most meaningful to you and which parts are things that you don't typically do. Really trying to hone in on bringing as many of those elements to each session as I can without overthinking it myself, because as you can imagine, I'm also trying to do the same thing as you. And if I'm constantly worrying about making it perfect, I'm not enjoying my run either, because my brain is then overthinking everything too. So just working into it. We are just going to take a moment to scan down. I'll tell you when to start. But you're going to start at the top of your head and you're going to work your way down. I'll give you some gentle guidelines of areas to consider. But really, you want to be paying attention to your body and where you feel things. You want to be paying attention to the muscles that feel tight, the things that you can feel as comfortable, or maybe things you're holding as stiff. And if you feel an area that I don't mention, pay attention to it. That's okay. So let's begin. Starting with our head, top of our heads. You're going to work your way down, relaxing your eyes. It's one spot we hold tension. Down into your jaw. It's another spot we hold tension. Just release it. Going into your neck, the muscles in the front and the back of your neck. Going down into your shoulders, top of your arms, hands, chest, into your belly, going into your hips and your pelvis, your glutes, your quads, hamstrings, and your knees, your lower legs, into your ankles, and into your toes. All those muscles together, all the joints and parts of your body. How do you feel? Just reflect there on some parts you feel the most. All right. And then mentally, if we had an hour together coming up, and my first question was, How are you? And I wouldn't want you to give me the yeah, right, yeah, fine answer, but I wanted the real, how are you? So take a moment to really answer that question. What would you say? Give at least a few different things you're experiencing, because I genuinely find it hard to believe that at any one moment we are just experiencing one thing. They can all be positive or they could all be negative, but there's elements of it. So just ask yourself that question for a moment. If I asked you that, what would you say? For me, I would say a little excited. I think I'm going to take my girls to the swimming pool today. Chloe's never been, and Bailey hasn't been in, well, since the pre-times. And so I'm excited about that. I'm a little concerned about one friend. That's in my mind a little bit. And I'm feeling appreciative of the ability to go for a run together, of the fact it's early in the morning so I can do this around my home and not be too distracting. And most of all, I just feel appreciative of what I'm seeing, which is a stunning sunrise. So yeah, how are you feeling? All right, and the final thing we're going to do for our check-in is our senses. Let's take a nice deep breath to start. What do you smell? Take another breath if you need to. Maybe not so deep if that was distracting. What do you smell? For me, I smell waffles, maybe pancakes, something like that. Someone's having their breakfast. What do you taste? I taste my athletic greens. Had it right before I went out the door. How about you? What do you hear? Really listen carefully. Pause the recording if you need a few moments where you can't hear my noises. Take your headphones out or something. I'm going to give a little bit of time. But just tell me, what do you hear? For me, you can hear just all kinds of singing of birds in the distance, around me. You can hear the trees, the leaves blowing gently. I love that sound. You can hear the highway in the distance. And I can hear my footsteps, my breath, and maybe even my watch gently bouncing on my wrist. What did you hear? And next, what do you see? Look down in front of you. Anything jumping out? And then let's get away from that. That's where we spend most of our time looking, right? That and looking at other people. as they pass or other things. So look to your left. Really, turn your head for a moment. If you are worried about falling over, you can turn it back quickly, or you can look out the corner of your eye. But turn and look. What do you see down? What do you see up? Anything you've never noticed before? Anything that's beautiful or strange or unique? Come back to centre. And let's go to the right. What do you see there? Look down. Look up. Be listing all those things in your mind that are coming to your attention. What is it? Come back to the centre. Anything that has always been there around you but you've never paid attention to before. I just saw a load of, is it holly? Vines going up a tree. Went all the way up this big, beautiful tree. Never noticed that before. It's a really cool thing to see. And finally, what do you feel? Start with whatever. Don't do the things that are obvious. Like I feel my phone in my hand, or I feel my watch on my wrist. But really, I mean, unless that is it, pay attention. What jumps out to you first that you can feel as a sensation? So give yourself some time now to work through all the gentle experiences you're getting, all those gentle sensations, a light breeze on something, your hair bouncing, whatever it might be. Just what do you feel right now on your body, on your skin? Feel like you got enough things? For me, I feel, first thing I feel is the wind blowing my car. I said this before, is it bicep or tricep? Tricep, yeah. I feel my phone in my hand that is jumping up. Feel my shorts, my waistband. Feel my fingers, feel my feet in my shoes. And I feel sweat just starting to bead together on my forehead, or my temples, more accurately. What about you? Was there anything that you noticed that was different to the scan? It should have been. The scan's a bit more of a body check, as in assessment of how you're doing, and this one should have been more of just what's your experience, bringing you more into the moment. So we have this reflection part, and we'll come back to that later in the run, right before the 30-minute group peels off. We'll check back in, and we'll do another check back in right at the end as well. So today I wanted to answer a question from my dear friend Elizabeth, who was kind enough to give me lots of amazing suggestions for questions that I can answer for you. But today I think I'll probably just stick to the one, because I think it might be a longer one. And I would love to hear the answer of what your response to that is. So Elizabeth wanted to know, what is the most challenging race or run that I can remember? And to describe it, not just what it felt like, but also how I got through it, how it continued to unfold, and whatever other details. But to begin, I want to start by, well, I guess I have two that come to mind. And they're different. One was a PR, still is one of my PRs, and I'm really proud of the way I handled it. The other is one I maybe didn't handle so well, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing I did, which was pushing beyond what I felt was capable of, but also pushing up to the limit of what I could do. But the difference is, one of them, I was mentally aware that it was all about expectations and got to do this, and the other one was, I'm going to do my best, which is what I often tell you to do. And so that's why I think these two come to mind as examples of handling a situation well and not handling a situation well. So I'm going to tell you a bit about those. Before I do, I just want to thank Beam for sponsoring this. These runs I love them and I appreciate them, but sponsors, I actually talked to Marcus Brown on the Runner's Life podcast, or a Runner's Life podcast, about this recently, about how it may feel with, like when you see people talking about brands, like it feels uncomfortable and you don't want to see it. And I get it, because there's so many like quote unquote influencers around, and half the time you can't tell if they're just doing it because they've been paid or because they're, you know, actually like it. But I was talking about the fact that like it feels just as uncomfortable for us as it does for you to talk about these things, because we know that people switch off. But that said, that sponsorship money allows me and other people like me to continue offering free content and support. And so I personally, as I hope you know, do not talk about anything I wouldn't try myself, or wouldn't use myself, I should say. I try it vigorously before I say anything to you for months. And Beam in particular, I gave them a rigorous set of questions before I even, considered accepting their product to try, because it's so important to me to keep that trust between you and I. I really, really, really value that. And so just wanted to let you know that I definitely encourage you to listen to the Marcus Brown A Runner's Life podcast to hear about that, because it really, I don't know, I feel like it needs to be said. And I'm not saying that everyone who talks about product trusts them, because we both know that there are a lot of people out there who are just accepting things for the sake of accepting things. But we know who those people are. We know when we trust someone. And I hope for you, that is me. If it's not, that's okay. But off the soapbox to say, Beam, I am loving it, especially now it's warm, to keeping my electrolytes up, my hydration. I'm not the best at getting water in post-run. And Beam has been so helpful for that, not just during my runs, giving me something to drink other than water that tastes good, really good. And I really enjoy the flavour of the Perform. I love that it has a little bit of green coffee extract, just give you a bit of a leg up. And I love that I can feel the energy. No, I shouldn't say I feel the energy. I feel good in any runs that I have it. And then I really love the post-run, the Recover. Has a little bit of collagen in it, has the branched chain amino acids. It comes in lemon flavour. And as you know, I'm not typically a lemon person, but I don't know what they did to this one, but it tastes really, really good. And so you can get 20% off at beamtlc.com using code TINA. And again, if you go get those through my code, that supports me. That allows me to keep doing things like this. But it also is good. I really mean that. I really am enjoying them. Steve's discovered it too. And so he's been taking a lot and having it too. So we're probably going to have to buy some of our own soon anyway. So then I really will be, telling you I am paying for this too. Because Steve is loving it as well. So go to Beam TLC and use code TINA for a special discount. All right, so most challenging run. If you're in a 30-minute group, you're probably only going to get one of these. And then if you want to continue walking and listening, I'd love for you to join me. Okay, so see, this is where I want to say, which one should I do first? I'd love to hear your response, because I'd imagine in your head you have the one you want to hear first. But as I can't hear you right now, I'm going to start with the one that was not great, I think. And that was a track race when I think I was still in college. Yeah, I was. I was still in school, and I'd gone out to Mount Sac in California for a race that was there every year. I was in Michigan at the time, so it's a big deal to go out there. And of course I wanted to make the best of it. Wanted to make everyone proud and make it worthwhile. And so I was in this 10K. And I don't remember particularly feeling bad or anything before I started. But what I remember is being what I remember doing is seeing 17 laps to go. So a 10K is 25 laps. So you don't see the first lap counter, but 25 laps. And it's hard to ignore that counter, because lots of laps are not really easy mentally. And it is good for mental toughness. But you kind of want to be able to just ignore the clock for as long as you possibly can. And ideally for me, I would get to maybe 12, maybe 10 laps to go before I would look at it for the first time. And then usually, 8 laps, 6 laps, 5 laps, 4 laps. After that point, you're just watching it every lap. It's that whole, instead of one foot in front of the other, it's one lap at a time. And so seeing 17 to go was uh-oh, this is not good. And I remember thinking oh my God, I've got such a long way to go. And I already felt tired. And so but I was still very much in the state of, gotta do this, gotta prove myself. And I was just kept up with the group. And I kept pushing, and I was hurting so bad. And then I honestly forgotten most of the next part, but I remember being at 4 laps to go and thinking, oh my God, I've still got a mile. Like, I don't know if I can do this. But then hearing that voice come through that was like, you've got to do this, like, hang on. And there was this girl who passed me or was in front of me, and I just was like, hang on to her. And I think at one point I even went ahead of her, just like in that like fired up state, even though I was feeling terrible. And I remember counting down the next lap. Not good. But, you know, I can make this. Just holding on. And by this point, I literally was at one step at a time. Never mind, one lap at a time. And I remember getting to the 800 and feeling a bit weird, not quite right. But, you know, was determined, I was fired up, and I wanted to keep going. So I kept pushing. And I remember getting to a lap to go and my body just feeling all kinds of off. Getting to the 200 and being totally unable to move. But somehow kept doing it. And then I remember getting to the 100 and my body just started to crumble. I could tell I was taking really long strides and I was like not able to keep my balance. Ended up falling down about, I don't know. Well, I could tell I was falling about the 50 meter mark. Went down with about 20 meters to go. Got up, took a few more steps, fell again right at the line, right before the line, and ended up basically crawling / getting up to fall over the line. And I think I had still run a PR, but not by much. And when I look back on that, I am kind of proud of myself for pushing through something that was really hard. But mostly when I look back on that, I just feel sad for myself that I felt so much pressure that I had to push myself to where my body couldn't, I had to crawl across the line. And this was being filmed by FlowTrack. If you know what FlowTrack is, it's like back then it was just like a streaming service that was free, I think. But they filmed races and put them online. So probably, I shouldn't say thousands, I don't know however many people were watching me crawl across the line, and the time, if they saw that, they would have been like, wow, you go girl, like great job. But for me now, I just feel sad for why did I need to go that far? I mean, and that's a good example of not listening to the warning signs. And not that I would have wanted to coast it in, but maybe it's just more the mentality of like, that felt so important, like it was life or death. And I don't want to be at that point anymore with like the berating I gave myself and my body afterwards for not being able to do what I wanted it to do, even though, as I have made very clear, I literally gave it everything I had. And so it's not about I pushed too far. Definitely did push too far. And there was a race that I've talked about, my first marathon at Philadelphia many times, and that's why I didn't talk about that today, because I have told that story many times before. But for both that and the 10K, it was about not accepting that my absolute best was good enough. Instead, being pissed off at my body and the world for not performing. And so I feel sad for that moment, for that girl who ran those times. But they are part of my journey, so I try and keep that in mind. That was part of my growth. And in both of those races, if I look back, I did learn from them. Right, so we are coming to the end here for the 30-minute group. So if you are doing 30 minutes, or if you're doing the 45 or anywhere in between, let's just take a moment to scan down through your body again and see how you feel. Notice if anything feels better, feels different. I'm going to let you scan down at your own pace, but be sure to loosen up, your eyes, your jaw, your shoulders, and scan down.
Tennis shoes on and run with you. Oh, well, I can't do that anymore.
You hear that? Someone else wants to run with us. All right, so anything feel different? More tight, less tight? Anything you should take care of today? Make a pledge to yourself to go do that. And we are going to do a few strides. I didn't give you that warning at the beginning. But for my 30-minute group, come to a walk and we'll do a few strides in a minute. If you're in the 45-minute group, you can take a little break, pause your watch if you want, or you can just continue and we'll go straight into it. These are no pressure, no specific speed. Doesn't matter if you would have run faster by walking first, and then by you running, you're slowing yourself down. Doesn't matter. We're just turning over our legs. That's all. Okay? So we'll give you a few seconds to recover. And then we'll go into 2 strides. And the 45-minute group, we'll do another 2 strides at the end. And then I'll tell my second story in a minute. Okay, so when we do this, again, we're not trying to extend out your stride. You're not trying to take bigger steps. You're just picking your speed up, or your feet up. So your cadence is going to increase. So you're going to be taking more steps. So rather than reaching out with your feet, you're just making them go down more. You're increasing your cadence. Okay, so you ready? We're going to do about 10 seconds of pick up, that's all, not sprinting, just pick up, okay, ready? And 3, 2, 1. And slow it down. Back to a jog or a walk. Do one more of those. I'll tell you when we're going to go. Give you a bit more time to recover. Okay, are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, pick up pace. And slow it down. Nice job. 30-minute friends, thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you take a picture of yourself, tag me in a social media post, or send it to me. Really love to see where you're running or where you're finishing. And actually, 45-minute group, if you have your phone nearby, grab a phone now. Show me what you're seeing too. Everyone take a photo, send it to me. I really love to see it. If you want take a video so I can imagine I was in your surroundings as well. I would do the same, except I can't because it'll stop my recording. So take a picture. I'd love to see it. Thank you for joining me, 30-minute friends. Remember to go to beamtlc.com and use code KINA. All right, 45-minute group. Is this the right distance or time? Do you feel good about this amount of time? Would you rather it was 50 minutes, 40 minutes? You have to let me know. For me, it seems like 45 is a good, safe distance that people do, but I don't know. I might be out of touch. So tell me. All right. So I'm going to talk about the other most challenging race, but in a good way. So that one was my PR in the half marathon. I got a cold going into race week, and the race was on a Saturday. I was going out to Philadelphia for it, and had made it into a trip of sorts because I think I was spending like 5 or 6 days there because I lived there for a while and I have a lot of friends there, and I love the city, as I mentioned on a previous Together Run. And so I was going to go regardless, but I remember being on the Wednesday and going to my final strength training session with Drew, and I just felt absolutely exhausted. Not just a cold kind of tired, but like Drew had me lie on the floor of the gym, and he played like calming music for me to essentially take a power nap for 20 minutes because I was so tired. And that was something I appreciated Drew for so much, that he cares holistically about us as human beings. It's not about your strength training. He didn't care that I was, missing my workout. He just cared about me. And by the way, Drew now has an app where you can sign up to get him to give you strength training. He does it for me. We don't live in the same place anymore, but he writes my workouts, and the app is so good. It gives you videos of how to do things, gives you explanations, you can fill it out, see your progress. Really, really good. So I'll put a link in the show notes for this episode so you can go check out his training plan. Really, really cool. And obviously kept me healthy and was one of the 3 pillars that allowed me to run for Great Britain, run all my personal bests. I say Drew, Evie and Steve were my 3 pillars, and without any one of them, it never would have happened. All right, so anyway, so I felt that bad. So at this point, we were like, I'm going to back out of this race. Like, I'll go to Philly still, but this is not good. And so I just remember being so tired and pretty much deciding in that moment that I wasn't going to go. I wasn't going to race, but I would go. And I remember going over there and seeing my friends, one of which who lives here with me now, Liz, which I love. Lives here in St. Louis. And I just kind of said, well, if I do it, it'll just be like, have fun with it. I'm not gonna really put any pressure on it. Because I knew I was in good shape. Knew I was ready for a big PR. But I just didn't feel good. And so race day rolls around, still not feeling good, very plugged up. And get into the race pretty early on. I remember realizing I did not feel good. And actually that was the year that Neely had this incredible race, Neely Spence Gracie, and ran 69 minutes. And I remember seeing her at a turnaround, being like, oh my God, you're so far in front. But I kept trying and I kept pushing. And I remember at 6 miles being very much having this okay, you're halfway, you're really hurting, but all you can do is your best. You're not doing yourself any damage by running through this cold. Well, not enough damage to be consider dropping out or backing off or anything. At the end of the day, I was still in this race as a competitive elite athlete. Not exactly easy to just turn off. But anyway, so I just committed to keep going. And I remember, I think around the 8 mile mark, I either caught up to, I think I caught up to Dot, who is was a Hanson Brooks runners. I'm not sure if she still is. But very, very impressive athlete. Kind of surprised to be near her. And for the next few miles, we were just going back and forth. And she was keeping me going and I was keeping her going. It was very clear that while we were competing, we were also helping one another. And so we kept pushing, and I felt really proud of myself for not giving up. I felt terrible, but I kept trying. I didn't let that mental side of me go. And I just, was very supportive of myself. And probably a big part of this was, by this point, Evie was with me. Not with me physically, but I had Evie as a sports psychologist, and she was teaching me how to be compassionate and give myself self-compassion. So that probably was a big part of it. But anyway, so I just remember really struggling and wondering how this was always the case in Philadelphia. I'd had really struggled with a race, my first marathon, as I mentioned earlier, but I was ready for this one, and I was mentally ready, but my body was just sick. And I remember just accepting it and just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to try my hardest. So fast forward, as I don't look at my watch during races, I didn't know where I was at. Suspected I'd probably run around a PR, which I think at the time was about 1:15, but not really anymore. But then I remember coming around the corner up the final hill to finish and seeing 1:13 on the clock, and ended up crossing the line in 1:13:21. And I was over the moon with that time. I mean, there was obviously that part of me that was like, wow, what if I was feeling good? But I mostly just felt proud of accepting what is and accepting where my body was at. And so, those are the two that come to mind, other than my first marathon. But I have told that story a lot, so I wanted to do something different. And we're coming up on the end of our run here. We'll finish up with Noor, as we just did the scan. We'll do one more of looking around. What do you see? So let's do that again. Well, not just what do you see, we'll do all the experience. So start, take a deep breath. What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you hear? So quiet out this morning for me. That's what I'm noticing with the here. It's normally when I run so much louder. It's the odd car, but it feels quite peaceful this morning. All right, what do you see? Be sure to look both directions, up and down. Try and pick out something to me that you would tell me you noticed that you've never seen before, or never paid attention to before, or just feel that you could appreciate. For me, I saw a little statue in someone's yard of a little angel-like person, and that reminded me of like the statue angel-like things that my aunt really likes back at home, and I miss her. really, really badly. And I hope I get to see her soon. What about you? What would you be telling me right now? All right. And finally, what do you feel? I'll give you some of mine afterwards, but I give you some time to do yours first. For me, I feel the sweat on the side of my forehead. Feel the wind blowing that sweat. Feel the wind between my fingers. Feel my shorts between my legs. My feet are a little bit hot in my shoes. Feel my hands a bit achy from holding the phone. Feel my hair bouncing on my back. How do you feel compared to the beginning? Let's just talk about mental. Feel more relaxed? Do you feel irritated by my voice? How are you feeling on the inside? Just ask yourself that for a few seconds. And slow to a walk. And keep asking yourself that. Give you a little bit more time to just process that answer. Usually I feel just more positive, optimistic after a run. Like I needed it as a kick start to my day or my afternoon, or just a reminder of what's beautiful about this life. So I'm feeling appreciative of that. And we're just going to do a few strides. In a moment, 2 more strides. And then you can be off in your day. Doesn't matter if you're running uphill or down. Although I would say, if you've got the choice of going up or down, I would probably push you towards doing up, even though that might be counterintuitive. I think going down, if you're not used to it, running fast down, is really where you might get yourself in trouble in terms of injuries. So I'm actually going to go up. You should go up too. We'll walk in between and we'll just do 2 of these. You ready? In 3, 2, 1. And just going to a walk. Good job. Walk for a little bit. And we'll do 1 more to end our run. And while I have a moment, I want to thank you for joining me. Really, really loving doing these and loving hearing your feedback. If you have anything you would like me to answer or talk about, as you should know, I'm an open book. I will answer your questions, and I really love to. Enjoy these. Enjoy connecting with you. You may feel you're just one runner who doesn't matter, but you do. You matter to me. You matter to the people in your life. They see the special in you, and I see it too. So keep reaching out. Keep reminding yourself that you are valued. You belong. You matter. You're beautiful, strong, and smart. I'm getting too hippy-dippy now. People are going to be like, I'm off. But I mean it. You are unique. So remember that. And if you need a reminder, you can ask me. So email me or message me. All right, you ready for the second one? In 3, 2, 1. And slow to a walk. Great job, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next Monday. Before we end this episode, I just want to take a moment to shout out my podcast editor, Jeremy Nessel, who has done such a wonderful job of looking after my podcast, taking out all the mishaps in the episodes, while still keeping in the vulnerability and the realness and the rawness of the conversation. This is not one of those podcasts where I take out the ums and the ers and the sometimes the delay in words, because I think it's very important to keep that authenticity. We're surrounded by perfected and manicured everything, and I think it's really important that Running for Real stays that way. So thank you to Jeremy for your work. I also want to thank Maria Vargas and Amber Moore, who are also part of my team. They've been a big part of this community and me being able to build this brand. So just want to give them a shout out too. All right, let's get right back to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being out there with me, and I'd love to hear your answers to what we talked about today. Be sure to tag me in a post, send me an email, let me see your picture of yourself running or the scenery that you have. And then, what do you think? What do you think about what we talked about? I would love to hear your thoughts. And you can also go check out beamtlc.com. That's beamtlc.com, and use code Tina when you go support Beam or one of the other companies that I mentioned on this. You are really helping me out. As well as, I hope you know by now, I really only speak about the brands that I would personally go buy myself. I really do believe in them. So I'm not just trying to sell you something. Friends, I will see you on Friday for a Running for Real episode, and I will see you next Monday for another Together Run. See you then.